covering it over. You bring about a student. You bring about a student.
You are the plumber by God, or you are the architect by God?
I'm sorry, what?
So either you're the plumber by God, or you're the architect.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like,
no,
you're busy to plumb up the toilet.
In other words, sin needs to be done, but you can still.
No, I would say. Wait a second. I would say like the way Ms. Nagan looks at it could be that a sin is that an aveda is like you take a rock and throw it through the window that you actually did something. Where the Chassidish would say sin is only like you pull down the shade so the light doesn't come in. Something like that.
You're doing God's work, but you can be God's architect and God's plumber. So
I hear. Who's more important? You're right, but look, the thing is,
exactly right.
Wait a second. If we go, listen, this is pushing it all the way. Once you push it all the way, it's all. Look, it's just like that. If you push it all the way, you say, let's start part of Minei, that means everything is gone, then sin doesn't mean anything anymore. Yes, that's true. So sometimes you could say it like that, but once you say it like that, the whole game is over and everything becomes meaningless. So obviously, the Chassidim also don't hold that you're supposed to say it like that. So obviously, there must be.
It doesn't.
Reb Yoinoson, I have an answer for that.
I'm sorry?
If there's pain, then it's not exactly the same thing. Just because you can sin, and ultimately, no matter what, it's going to turn out good. But that's not say like I'm going to choose good or I'm going to choose sin. So I can't make the argument. Well, I'll just choose sin because it doesn't matter.
I just want to make a simple point. Let me put it to you this way. You want to say less is our part of Minei, everything is God, God is all that exists. Okay. Now the thing is like this. Number one, none of us can say that and really mean it as if our day-to-day experience is that, because it is not. It is. Yes, we live in the world of cause and effect. We live in a natural world. We don't live in a world where God's presence is totally manifest all the time. I think that is obvious. The Chassidim also think that is obvious. And the fact that God, even if that world is ultimately illusory, the fact that God put us in that world and gave us a Torah means that He wills that we ought to live in that world and conduct ourselves accordingly with rules of good and evil. I mean, that's Pashut by Chassidim also, that you can't just jump into Leisah Ponimine and do all the various you want. I mean, that's not a shmuz. That's not a shmuz.
Yoinoson, I have an answer to Reb Chaim's question.
Yes.
It goes like this. It's true that were there not a distinction made between good deeds and bad deeds, or between God or not God, and so on, it's true that this would cause a great deal of confusion and ultimately devalue, kedusha and tumah,
right.
Good. So this is why God created Misnagdim. They should be guardians of the classical idea of what good and evil is. So then you can have Chassidim that can give you more exotic interpretations of those very notions.
Keep the illusion going.
Okay, I just want to finish.
Balancing out.
I know we need to finish. I just want to finish by pointing out that even now that you wax so radical, and we're talking in terms of Ishbitz, and we're talking about the possibility of flat-out sinning, going against what's written in the law because you have somehow received the kind of personal revelation to the effect that God wants you to commit this act, even though it's an act under normal circumstances, is absolutely forbidden. That an idea like this is also not without precedent in the rabbinic tradition. And the fact is, the Gemara says, "Gedoyla aveda l'shmo yoysim mitzvah shelo l'shmo." Going, yeah, leishis chaver akeni ve'elio bar hakarbel. Where's the Gemara? Where's the Gemara? Bad shit. What? Right. I don't know where it is. I forgot where it is. But anyway, the Gemara says that a sin which is committed for the sake of heaven is greater than a mitzvah which is committed not for the sake of heaven. And the Gemara gives two examples. The Gemara gives the example of Yalei Sheschav Rakeni and Shoiftin. He says some Moed Katan.
What's the example? What's the case?
The Gemara gives two examples. The Gemara gives an example where this woman Yal was the wife of this big holy guy Chever, that they were fighting a war against the Plishtim, and she wanted to help the Jews win, so she seduced the general and slept with him, even though she was a married woman, and chopped his head off. And because of that, the Jews won the war. And the Gemara she's extolled in Tanakh, and the Gemara gives her an example of Aveilu L'Shmo. She sinned for the sake of heaven, and it's considered to be something great. Also, Eliyahu Bar Kamal, that Elijah the prophet, that he was fighting around trying to prove his point against the Nevi Habal, the prophets of Baal, and he wanted to show their falsity and emptiness. So he challenged them, and the challenge was that I will bring forth a sacrifice, and you in turn will see who gets fire from heaven. But he did this. He didn't have an opportunity to do it in the Beis Hamikdash in the temple. He did it on a mountain top in the north, right? Harakam. So, and he did it, even though it worked. He got the fire, they didn't get the fire. So he proved that the Lord is God and the Baal is just an idol and a false god. But the fact is, it's an aveir. It's a sin because you're not allowed to be makar on bomas. You're not allowed to bring forth the sacrifice outside the Beis Hamikdash, the holy temple in Jerusalem. But he did it, and by doing it, he sanctified the name of God, proving that God is the true God and the idol is no more than an idol. So the Gemara says that. The Gemara says. Now, so there is a concept of Aveir Lishma which is put forth in the Gemara. There is a concept of Aveir Lishma, a sin committed for the sake of heaven. Difficult concept, and the Gemara extols it. The Gemara says it's greater than a mitzvah which is committed Shalei Lishma. As a matter of fact, Reb Chaim Volozhner in his polemical work Nefesh HaChaim is at pains to fend off the challenge, very good. To fend off that challenge from Gedolei Aveir Lishma, because the Chassidim could advert to that to justify various kinds of antinomian tendencies. And he says all he can say is today it's not like that. That's only those people. They were Nevi'im, they were prophets, and they knew that God wanted them to do that thing. But today no one can know. As if Aveir Lishma is the same thing as a Rosh Hashanah, which I don't know if it is. Now my friend here, Rabbi Avram says it might be it's not partial from the Gemara that Aveir Lishma is only the time of the and the time of the year. The Gemara says Gedolei Aveir Lishma. So that means
it wouldn't be no Aveir. It wouldn't be an Aveir.
That's difficult anyway. That's difficult anyway. I don't know.
Action that's called an Aveira.
Those Aveiras in the Gemara, there's a purpose to Aveira. Here's no purpose.
No.
The purpose is children.
The purpose is that you have to, like, in general, whatever.
It's interesting what you're saying. That
he's just doing a bit because you can't control yourself, and that must be that it's from.
Yeah, but there's first of all, I didn't mean dafki ishbit stick. In other words, you could use it to justify davening late in order to have tefekis. There could be a purpose. You could be ever look because you want to have tefekis more closest to God, to cleave up to God, and to daven with greater fervor. So it's a Aveir Lishma. Even though Shulchan Aruch says not to, why can't you say that? It would be easy to say. It didn't mean only ishbit stick, but even ishbit stick. If you just like Aveir Lishma in the law book, it says that it's forbidden, but somehow you divine that this is what God wants in this moment. For some reason, there's always a purpose. The ishbit's idea is that someone makes a tikkun, that someone thinks about something in the world. Okay,
not possible that it has to be because I have this urge.
No, because of this urge, it means it must be up to Hashem. But the state they always think that the why is it?